the US Senate, they passed a bill basically that would put sanctions on Chinese officials who erode Hong Kong's autonomy. Do you have any reaction to that?
At the end of the day, the Hong Kong government or Beijing, of course, they would not be happy about it. And they have to ask themselves, what made Hong Kong become the center attention of different governments or Congress or Parliament? We all remember before last year's movement, nobody really paid a lot of attention to Hong Kong as far as the political perspective is concerned. Most of the time when people talk about Hong Kong, it's the stock market, it's tourism, it's probably the food, the fun time, the good time. And nobody paid a lot of attention to the political issues in Hong Kong. And what changed that? I mean, it's not because of people around the world suddenly start paying attention to Hong Kong for no reason. It's all because of the poor governance and poor judgment. And so my response to any proposal from foreign parliament or foreign government is you do not ask why are they doing that. You have to ask for this government, those who are in power, they have to ask themselves, have I done something wrong?
What would you say to some people in Hong Kong who, aren't interested in politics? I mean, I know a lot of people in Hong Kong are interested, but there are some people who perhaps just care about, living their life and don't really want to pay attention to politics. What would you say to them? How does it affect them?
I understand a lot of people, not only in Hong Kong, but around the world, they always think I'm not interested in politics and I have absolutely nothing to do with politics whatsoever. Whoever is in power, that's their problem as long as my life continues unaffected. But even if you do not find politics, politics will come to you. There are lots of investment and foreign companies who are considering whether they should move their regional headquarters from Hong Kong to elsewhere where there's no national security law issues, where there's no human rights issues. And so even if somebody is absolutely nothing to do with politics, that person never read the news. But, if Hong Kong goes down, everybody suffers.
Next, I'd like to ask you about the legislative election in September, because, I know that last time in I think it was the district council election, there was obviously a big win for the pro-democratic side. So do you think they'll do anything to try and influence that?
Oh, definitely. We always say the Chinese Communist Party, they embrace any sort of free election as long as they know what the result's going to be. And I trust what happened last year in November in a district council election, where out of the 18 districts, the Democrats basically won a landslide, and we managed to win the majority of 17 of those districts. And so it's extremely promising. It's really a result, a collective effort by the Hong Kong people, the freedom-loving Hong Kong people. Looking forward to the coming September general election of the Legislative Council, which is even more important and powerful than district councils. Of course, they would do anything possible. Right now, they passed the national security law before nomination period of electrical election, which might provide a grounds for the authorities to disqualify potential candidates from standing in the election, which may also provide further grounds to disqualify legislators elected, which is also possible. Right now, the opposition's gathering a force to try to win a majority in the council. And so, of course, in Beijing's position, they would do anything to stop that from happening. Disqualification is one thing. They might postpone the election, God knows on what basis. And in the process, even if they do not postpone the election or cancel it, would they do anything in between to try to influence the results? Of course they would. And so we keep reminding Hong Kong people to pay attention, and we have faith in Hong Kong people and confidence in them that, after years of training and witnessing how Beijing's agents in Hong Kong, doing and have their hands on the election, Hong Kong people know how to choose.
Can you just explain, because I know that the pro-democracy side, they want to get more than 35 seats in the election. I remember when visiting Hong Kong, people who I talked to describing it like you vote for the opposition. They never actually become the majority. If they do get the 35 plus seats though, will then the pro-democratic side be able to actually influence things in Hong Kong?
We will have the ultimate veto power
here
in council. Under the basic law, there are a lot of restrictions for us to put forward a members bill, unlike the way the US functions. Members could easily introduce a bill and make it become a legislation. In Hong Kong, government, the administration, executive branch, they have a say. And regardless of that, in Hong Kong, for government's bill or budget to pass here at LegCo, it requires a simple majority. So whoever controls of the majority would have a final say on that.
So at a minimum, you would be able to veto new legislation, but you wouldn't necessarily be able to bring in new bills yourself. Okay, and then just one more question as well is that I know you had went to Taiwan to observe the election earlier this year. I was also there reporting on it actually this year as well, and obviously they had a landslide election. What can Hong Kong learn about democracy from what you observed in Taiwan?
There are a few perspectives. Of course, from the most simple of the technical view, is very mature in Taiwan on both camps, either the Kuomintang or the Democratic Progressive Party. They know how to communicate with the people. They know how to mobilize them. They know how to convey the messages so directly to the right people. I mean, this is something that requires a lot of practice, and we understand Taiwan has gone through a lot over the past 2 or 3 decades. So this is something we always can learn from. But more importantly is the fact that that is a free election. Of course, it's a presidential election is a very focused issue. You either vote for this candidate or that one, or you basically do not vote. And in Hong Kong is slightly different when it comes to a legislative council, because there are a lot of them to choose from. But then I would say unity is something that we have to do. We have to demonstrate unity to our people in the election, although we compete against each other from the Democrats, but we still wish to work together. We will still wish to capture majority here. So we have to let the voters know that yes, there is some sort of competition, but that is not a real competition because we are a team from the opposition camp, the Democrats. And of course, in Taiwan's case is fascinating in the sense that they have different sort of ways to convey their messages. If you're talking to somebody, more mature, then of course you have your way to talk about, because the same language might not be able to apply to the younger ones. And this is a very mature way to demonstrate their election campaign skills. But all in all, substance matters. At the end of the day, no matter how good your messaging techniques are, if you do not have good substance, then of course, it doesn't make a difference at all. And so, yes, we have to make sure the core values matter. And so as long as we stand firm on what we believe in, as long as we know that is shared by the Hong Kong people, as long as that is to the interest of Hong Kong, that works.